Hey everyone, I'm Ian Douglas, the author of the website techinterview.guide. I do live streams every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern about topics relevant to interview preparation for the tech industry. I occasionally record longer Q&A sessions, and I've started to break those into smaller videos to post. And there'll be information at the end of this video about how to get in contact with me if you have additional questions. Let's get to it. The first question that I had, how do you answer this interview question? Tell me a time when you had to set another goal and change your orientation. Now, by the wording of the question, changing your orientation, I guess, is like change your direction. So any kind of question that starts with, tell me about a time, they definitely want you to tell some kind of story. You do need to be careful how long you're spending telling that story. You don't want to go on and on and on. I was recently writing up something for an article, hopefully that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks, from builtin.com. And they were asking, like, what one question can you ask to get like tons of information? And I wrote up one question that's kind of my favorite. It's one of my favorites. And the thing that I wanted to kind of caution about, though, is it's a little bit dangerous to try to condense so much stuff into a single question and a single answer that you don't overwhelm the candidate, with a whole tell me about a time when, where their answer has to be so involved and so detailed that it goes on for like 10, 15 minutes. Because then they start to lose scope of the question that you've asked and whether they've answered it fully and completely to your satisfaction. And then that just kind of cascades into even more anxiety about the interview when they're already nervous. So as much as possible, I like to try to keep my questions fairly simple when I'm interviewing someone else. So for a question like this, tell me about a time you had to set another goal and change your direction. I think that this question could also be posed like, tell me about a time that you had to set like an additional goal and then choose between your original goal and the new goal. Like, how do you prioritize your time, or how did you determine which one was more important? And I think this is a good question for a lot of reasons. In an interview, I want to hear about how you deal with teamwork and collaboration, and especially with communication. And when it comes down to ideas behind, how do you work as part of a team? How do you work in a company? And what happens if we have to change your focus from one thing to another? Or how do you as an individual change your focus from one thing to another, where you're trying to figure out the right words here, where you're trying to figure out a priority on things. Now, depending on your level of experience, as a senior dev, you're going to be looked at to sort of set the pace and set that tone. If you're earlier in your career, you haven't even started your tech career yet, somebody else should be setting that priority for you. But if you're given two things and you're told they're kind of both important, which one is really more important? And there's kind of a saying that goes, when everything is important, nothing's important. Because if everything has equal priority and equal urgency to try to finish, then it doesn't matter which one you do, if they're all supposedly equal importance. So I would say if you have a question about what you should be working on, you should ask somebody and say, hey, I've got these things, they're the same sort of priority. I want to make sure that I'm working on the right thing. What do I do? Back to the original question, tell me about a time when. They want you to tell some kind of story. I typically try to cap my stories between 2 minutes and 5 minutes. So you do need to have some self-awareness over how long you're spending answering the question, but you want to make sure that you're answering the question as completely as possible. So for this one in particular, again, just to kind of go over it, where you had to set another goal and then think about your priorities, they really just want to hear how you manage competing priorities at that point. And I think the answer depends a lot on sort of your seniority level and whether you get to set that priority yourself or whether somebody else is going to be kind of guiding you in that priority. Hey, thanks for watching. I love helping people out with interview prep, and I hope this video helped you in some way. If you found this Q&A useful, please consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitch as well for the live stream twice a week. Check out techinterview.guide/streaming for more information. I also have a daily email series that you can subscribe to on the website. There are never any ads, and when you finish the series, I scrub your information out of my database permanently. Finally, if you have a question that you'd like answered on the stream, you can find my contact info on techinterview.guide. I prefer LinkedIn or email. If you leave your question in a YouTube comment, it might take me longer to find it. But I'll see you next time.